Yeah, so Taz Douglas will start from pole position. It's his 7th win in succession. He'll stay on the front row. The results of yesterday's shortened race, which was 9 laps anyway, due to the incident we had with Scott Pine during the final Supercars practice session. Michael Anderson aboard the Kenwood Homes Falcon. He'll carry one of our onboards during this race, car number 11, starting from position number 6. A great category. We're starting to see a lot of the older cars filtered down into this. I like the look of this young guy, Tyler Greenbury. Great run yesterday. Was good in qualifying during the weekend. It's a new car for him. He tested in the lead-up to this Queensland Raceway round.
So you just see there his left hand on a lever brake just to make sure the car doesn't roll. And when the lights go red, he'll bring up the revs. You can see on the left-hand side there. A lot of guys run a line locker, or you can run a mechanical brake there.
Let's talk about that net that's going across from the seat to the middle of the cockpit. What's that for? Yeah,
so just in case you have a rollover, your arms don't fly around, prevents a little bit less injury. A lot of the cars have that now. And it's something that I thought would actually obstruct the view, but it's once you're driving, it's fine.
You had a chance to go for a run on Friday afternoon in the DJR Team Penske Falcon. Top the time sheets. You're pretty happy with that?
Yeah, the car was great. The guys now just off onto their warm-up lap. The DJR car is very, very quick, so hopefully a better day for them today.
Looking forward to seeing you in the Pertec Enduro Cup later this year. It's Douglas and Smurden on the front row. Greenbury and Josh Smith, the man from Townsville, starts from 4. Jim Policina and Michael Anderson on the next row. Young Jack Sipp starts out of 11. Dean Kovacevic, Jason Heck will not start. Steve Briffa has been put to rear of field for that incident yesterday. He was deemed the primary cause in the Poco Holden, so a bit of work for him to do. That's him in the red and yellow ex-Paul Morris motorsport car.
There's a couple of Paul Morris cars here. Young Jack Sipp's in one as well. Unichep car, so it'll be interesting to see if they can make a bit of headway in this race. But yeah, I'm not surprised that Briffa got a little slap on the wrist for that incident. You know, obviously the end result was probably a lot harsher than what actually happened on the way to the corner. You know, it wasn't like he was fully locked up. He had a crack down the inside, but end of the day, a car rolled over and he caused it. So bit of a slap on the wrist there to the back there.
A couple of cool cars in the field, including this one. This is Warren Millett's Wake Up Holden. A car with a lot of history, ex-Mark Scaife Holden Racing Team car from 2006. It's in the hands of the former Utes racer. A bit further in the background, that shot, you saw Andy Cantrell, who's been struggling with that ex-Glenn Seaton racing car that Neil Crompton drove back in 1999 for a brief period, and Dean Canto won the championship in 2000.
Yeah, a couple of little mechanical problems with that car this weekend. But, you know, he's up against cars that are much younger than what his car is. So he's you know, if you can try and compete with him and stay with him, he's doing a bloody good job.
Absolutely. There is the Ford Credit Falcon right now. So much history, but also makes you and I feel a little bit old now seeing that car, because that feels like yesterday when it was on the racetrack.
I just love how they keep the colours very similar to when it raced back in its day. See Cito and Crompton piloted these cars.
Looks like he's even got a little crack in the top windscreen, which was pretty standard back in the days for full glass windscreens front and rear on these supercars. Cars come into the grid now. Chris Smurden, former privateer, will start on the front row. There is Jack Sipp. His dad Tim ran in the privateer ranks. A couple of Bathurst starts back in the late 90s and early 2000s. And there is Policina at the back. He's been a regular in the Kumho Tyre V8 Touring Car Series for a long time. It's the second time they've been on the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship bell in 2016. The green flag waves at the back. We pick up the revs. We'll jump on board Greenbury and Michael Anderson for the run down to turn number 1. 13 laps of distance. First race today here at Ipswich. And again, we're having that drama with the 14 car lining up the bags. And it's going to drop him a ton of spots. Now, Andy Jones had that incident last year in the Dunlop Series race up in Townsville.
Looked like Josh Smith there. He let the clutch out a little bit too early and actually just lit the rears up stationary. So it's not a bad burnout, but obviously not a great start. Tyler Greenbury, though, on the inside of the track there, is going slowly. So he's got a problem. That's a real shame.
Well, there's plenty no doubt now that they've got heat in those tyres on the Smith car. It happened at Sydney Olympic Park, I should say, for Andy Jones in the Dunlop Series last year. But Taz Douglas leads us down to turn number 3. Smurden in second. Anderson up in a third right now. And there is Jim Policina in the ex-Sprint Gas Holden running in 4th.
Smurden has got some great starts this weekend. I might have to go and see what his secret is. Policina down the inside, making light work there. Moving up the field, but I just want to know what's happened to Greenbury, because he's just cruising around and lost a heap of spots, so there's obviously some sort of problem, maybe a problem with the clutch or something like that.
Running right at the back of the field. He's on board with the man from Bathurst, Michael Anderson. Steps up into the Kumho Series, and there is Steve Briffa slicing his way through the field after starting rear. There is the Ford Credit Falcon of Andy Cantrell and Warren Millett going side by side down the straight here to complete lap number 1. Steve Briffa, he'll be plenty pumped up after being put in rear of field, and so these two guys scrapping for the minor positions. Door left open, he'll get it done nicely through turn number 2. Fast section of the track, isn't it?
He's certainly not scared to have a crack there. He's trying to make a few positions in the early stage of this race. Same with Josh Smith here. We saw a terrible start. He's trying to get his way back through the field. He should be able to pick a lot of these cars off pretty quickly. He's got a much better car and a much better speed than some of the other guys. Here we go, let's have a look. Heap of smoke coming out, but to be honest, it didn't look like the wheels were spinning to start with, so I'm not exactly sure what's happened there.
See it from Anderson's point of view, he's going to get smoked out here.
He's done a great burnout.
Willowbank Raceway's next door, where they have the Winter Nationals each year, and it's be perfect. They'll get a 10 out of 10 over there. But the moment it drops him down, and there is Greenbury's come to a stop. And my curse continues on drivers in 2016.
That's a real shame, because Greenbury was one of those guys that was going to take it to Taz today. And obviously this race has come to an end for some mechanical problem.
A bit of smoke hovering around the cockpit for number 13. We go back to second and third. And Taz Douglas is out to 2.7 seconds. First flying lap was 1 minute 12.83. Smurden was a full second slower on that lap.
Yeah, I think, so with the yellow flag out there, I'm just trying to see where Greenbury's actually stopped.
Millett gets on the dirt on the outside of turn number 2. This is going to allow Jack Sipp to bring the Unitip Holden to make a fairly easy pass. Battle of the late breakers down into turn number 3.
Yeah,
the young man from Noosa doing a great job out there in the Paul Morris Motorsport car. And looks like Tyler Greenbury's calling it quits here.
Yeah, I think he needs to get out of that car. There is a little bit of smoke. Let the marshals look after that.
We remembered yesterday during qualifying, he had that spin down at turn number 3, and then the rev lights just kept flashing during that session. He persisted on in qualifying. I think he just wants to let some fresh air in right now.
Yeah, he's just trying to talk to the team, give them as much information as possible. But
someone in the background is blowing a lot of smoke. It's about to come around the final turn. And I hope that's not Cantrell. It is Cantrell again. And it's a lot more smoke than what we've seen out of car 111.
Yeah, he needs to shut that down. Hopefully not coating the circuit with too much oil, because when Taz Douglas comes around, he might find himself a little bit surprised.
He's pulled off the racing line, but he had to take the race line going through 1. Now he slows down car 111. It's been a tough weekend.
That's a real shame for him. Lots of mechanical problems, but to be honest, he really needs to either stop the car or get off the race line, because it's going to wreck it for everybody else.
Barely got a lap in practice and qualifying. And yesterday we didn't get virtually any racing laps in. It was all behind the Lexus safety car. As he continues to motor on around. He's going to take the shortcut to the left-hand side, and Tyler Greenbury walks away from his Edge Falcon. Shake of the head, because there's points on offer here as the two Briffa cars go side by side. Simon Emmazides down the inside now here at the final turn. And Brendan Strong having a good day here today. The ex-Lansvale Smash Repairs car from 2001 in the hands of Cameron McConville. One of the older cars in the fleet, and now Cantrell in the background of that shot heads to pit lane. In comes car 111, and that'll be the end of his day. He'll probably take a left, and he pulls it up just on the entry to pit lane. So Douglas, it's about 3 seconds to Smurden.
Quite a bit of oil coming out of the back of that car, so just wondering whether these guys will find a problem on the race line. You can see it down the inside, so these guys will sort of be unaware unless they've been told on the radio to sort of look out for it.
Well, this is on now for second and third. And Smurden driving down the inside, defending the line. Policina just locks a brake momentarily at turn 4. So these guys will go amongst it now, but this will let Taz Douglas get away, won't it?
Yeah, Taz is sort of in a class of his own at the moment. See, look at that oil.
It's not a good sign.
That's on the racetrack now.
And it's all shut down as our fireys just attend to that car. So Emmazides about to be passed here by Hunt. Down the inside he goes, and Breffer now finds himself in the top 6 after starting from the back. He's got a fair distance now to catch Michael Anderson. He's 6 seconds further up the road.
Yeah, he's done a great job sort of carving his way through. This time not making any contact, which is good. We've got Josh Smith up to P4 as well, so he's recovered well after that poor start. I think Taz at the front, though, he's the quickest car, but he's still got another race this afternoon, so he's probably looking after those tyres a little bit. And unless somebody starts coming at him, I'd expect him just to hold a nice gap and finish off the job.
Yeah, they'll wrap up today's race program here at Queensland Raceway. Almost halfway home in this second race, the Kumho Tyre V8 Touring Car Series round at Queensland Raceway. They raced here this time last year. The likes of Liam McAdam and Alex Rillo went stroke for stroke. They've moved on into the Supercars Dunlop Series now, so it's another good proving ground for the younger stars to come through.
Yeah, absolutely. If they've got ambitions to get into V8 Supercars, then the sooner they can get in one of these big cars and start to learn how to drive them, the better they'll be. So probably the most cost-effective way as well. There's a 5-round championship. Try and keep the cost down. 1 set of tyres for the weekend, but it just gives them that a bit of experience before they jump into the Dunlop Series, and then maybe their Supercars later on.
Down the inside goes Michael Caine on Mercedes. So Mercedes is dropping down the field here in the Paul Morris car from 2004.
Does a switchback though. He's going to try and stick it back up the inside. Don't think he's got it done there.
Left it nice and wide though for Mercedes. Now this brings Brendan Strong.
The visibility in these cars isn't great. So sometimes when someone sticks their nose up the inside, you can't really judge if they're going to have a crack or not. So you can run the risk of turning in and maybe getting turned around, or you can just give them that little bit of room. So there's good racing there.
Let's talk about the tyres on these cars, because they've been more designed to run on Dunlop tyres over the years. They run the Control Kumho tyre in there. So what are the differences?
Well, the Dunlop tyres, we know, generally tends to go away quite quickly. So it's a cheaper tyre. Oh, had someone off.
That's Mercedes, who's spun down here at turn number 4. There's a whole lot of smoke on the way in. I don't think that's just dust that's in the air. It drops him right out the mix down to 11th.
That's a shame. Oh, and Josh Smith just
is going off
at the turn 1. They might be getting caught out on this oil eventually.
It's taken a couple of laps, and it's only a light amount of oil, but it's enough to unsettle these cars if you get it in the right spot. That's put him back and puts Anderson up into 4th place now.
But these tyres, these Kumho tyres, I've actually been quite surprised at how long they've lasted, because they've only got the 1 set. They've already done qualifying session. Okay, race 1 was short, but they're still pumping out lap times not too far away from qualifying. So a Dunlop tyre, we probably wouldn't see that durability. Policina now giving Smurden a bit of a kiss on the way to the entry there.
He lined him up there a few times, so now the Policina car is released and Smurden goes back to 3rd.
Policina's done a great job. He's come right from the back up to P2 now.
This will be the replay of Mercedes, just too hot into turn number 4. He's known as the Burnout King. He's dropped a few over his years.
He's certainly good at it. Oh, a little bit too much there.
Almost gets the 720.
He just lost the rear on the way in. He might have locked the rears slightly. He's got the burnout happening before he's even stopped spinning.
Just like the old days. And that's what I like seeing, the flames out the side of these Kumho V8 touring cars. That's Steve Breffer, who now is up into 6th position from starting rear. This is Josh Smith, who looks like they've found that oil dropped by the Cantrell car.
Just got a little bit wide on the entry there, and it's quite bumpy. So it's put him offline. Hasn't been able to recover it. It's taken a bit of a trip through the gravel trap there.
The trick is to keep the boot in when you get across the gravel there.
Caine now down the inside. These ex-Tasman cars, they've got a bit of pace today.
Yeah, absolutely. Sister car to the Policina one that's further up the field. Caine drove with Aaron McGill, who's now hung up the helmet from the Supercars Dunlop Series. Partnered up at the Bathurst Enduro race last year. Oh, and Breffer right on the back. I don't think there was contact there. But Breffer gets back ahead, and now the Caine car slows. I've got to stop giving guys raps. Every time I talk positive today, a car slows down.
That's unfortunate because he's going through the field quite well. Interesting to see if he comes into the pit lane.
It happened mid-corner. That's what got my attention, and Briffa was lucky not to go into the back of him. Meantime, Chris Smurden is on the back of Policina. Needs to stay off the dirt, though.
He's using every little bit of road. Policina, these guys are having a great little battle for P2, and Taz isn't too far away. I was just having a look at the split times. Policina, a couple of tenths down in each sector, but not too bad. Oh, hold on to it. See, you got to stop talking.
You can handle the next 4 laps, okay?
I think I will. I don't know if Smurden, every exit he's put a wheel off, so there might be a bit of dirt on his tyres. But that was a good little save. And Kane.
He's cruising to a stop here. That's coming down towards the final turn. So watch this. This is what got my attention. All of a sudden the car just falters, and Briffa, lucky not to trade paint. Got past there, but moments later that car would come. It's pretty much a standstill on the run down to turn number 6. Gap is 4.3 seconds now, first to second. Douglas still leading from Policina and Smurden. Michael Anderson doing a solid job. And there is the view out of Tyler Greenbury's car. Just chilling on the inside of the circuit. He's well and truly departed that race car. We'll see him out later today.
So now the pressure's been taken off Policina, so he can just focus on the next 3 laps, trying to close that gap to Taz Douglas. But I think Taz has got it under control.
Douglas responding there by the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 12.83 on it last time around. Here's Michael Anderson.
So you can see him going down the gears, sequential gearbox in these cars. You still use the clutch on the downshift, but it's just forward motion and then pull it back up the gear. See the shift lights on his steering wheel. Big brake up here, back to second gear.
Almost sounds like he's not using the full RPM.
No. I think he actually using third there. Most guys back to second, then short shift to third.
Been impressed with him so far. Just some limited Group N experience. The man who's the director of Kenwood Homes, a 30-year-old from Bathurst, on target for one of his best finishes in his short career in the Kumo Series. Lap 12 of 13. And a gap now, Douglas to Policina. 2 seconds got sliced out of it on that lap.
Policina is on a charge.
Here's Josh Smith with Briffa now. Sort of come to a standstill really with passing cars. It was going to be fairly easy in the opening stanza of the race. Finds himself in 7th now, chasing down the former karting star from Townsville. Oh, goes a little bit wide. Down to turn 2. Briffa, a stalwart in this category. Has been in production cars for a long time too.
Josh Smith doing a great job. You know, we talk about him quite a bit. You know, not a very good start, but can you imagine driving a go-kart and then jumping in one of these beasts? You know, totally different. There's so much to learn. So I think, you know, in his first year, to be running near the front is very, very good.
Policina is closing right up, isn't he? He set his fastest lap of the race. On the previous lap, he has. They come through to start the final lap of race number 2 here today.
It's 2 tenths quicker than Taz on that lap. Final lap though, so it's quite a healthy margin.
Douglas has done this all before, plenty of experience. It's good to have a guy like that in this championship because it's a chance for the young guys to measure up against him, even though he's still young at 32 years of age.
He's definitely a very good yardstick for this category. He's done it all before, main series, Dunlop series, Formula Ford, all the different categories. And it's good for some of these young guys, like we mentioned, Greenbury, Smith, Jack Sipp, all these young guys trying to, you know, forge away in motorsport to see where they're at. And to be honest, you know, Douglas probably doesn't have the fastest car in this category, but he's driving it very, very well.
It's been solid all season long and on target for his 8th race wins. He sweeps through turn number 5. Just 1 turn to go. Policina driven a fantastic race. He's left Chris Smurden behind by nearly 6 seconds as Douglas finished 2nd at Bathurst a couple of years ago. Up at Mount Panorama, sweeps out the final turn. He started from pole position. We didn't have too much of a race yesterday, but today 13 laps in the books and Taz Douglas wins for the 8th time in 2016. Big margin back to 3rd with Smurden. And Michael Anderson holds on for a top 5 result. He finishes in 4th.
That was a great job by Michael Anderson there.
Solid.
Yeah.
Very solid indeed. That's Hunt and Smith to the line there. And Hunt will get 5th position. Smith to 6th. And Briffa from the back of the field gets 7th. Safety car free. Everybody drove well. A tough break for Tyler Greenbury. He'll start at the back of the field for later on today. Hopefully not too much drama to his car.
The good thing is, though, he'll have the best set of tyres. So these guys got another 13 laps on their tyres.
See how he goes. Taz Douglas, the winner, 1.5 seconds back to Policina. Smurden, Anderson, Hunt and Smith. Briffa 7th, Strong in 8th. Jack Sipp got to 9th, and Dean Kovacevic finishes in 10th position, some 38 seconds behind.